What's up, rap stars? It's your boy Romeo Santos and co-host Kenny Fulton of Red Anchor Properties. We are super excited about today's show. We are taking a little turn. So those of you that are consumers that are listening, please feel free to continue to listen. But we are talking to agents today. All right. So what we want to talk about is some disciplines that we use in our business that help to make sure that our business is booming, or at least we're tracking towards a booming business. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down through these, and then I want us to talk about how it is that we implement these disciplines in our business. You ready, Kenny?
Let's do it.
All right, perfect. So first thing that you can do as an agent when growing your business, trying to stay consistent in your business, making sure that you're staying top of mind, making sure that you're building good relationships, right? That's really what we do, in my opinion, in real estate, is we are in the relationship building business. We're not in the selling business, right? Anybody that's ever bought a house before, no agent said, hey, I got this great house. Why don't you buy it? Here are all the features. And then they bought it, unless they actually liked it, right? No different than you can't make somebody want to marry you unless they actually like you and they fall in love with you, right? So all we can do is build relationships so that when people have the need to do something real estate related, they choose to use us. That's our goal, right? So something that we like to do is send one thank you note out per day. So Kenny, what are some of the things that we use to make sure that we can do that with ease?
We try to utilize technology, whenever possible. So we have a company that will pretty much, we give them the information. So we give them the contact information and we want what we want the card to say. So anytime we meet a client for the first time, we send them a thank you for taking the time to meet us. That's our first contact that we like to use. And it's a very nice touch. A lot of times people aren't expecting to get anything in the mail. So they get it. They're like, oh, wow, like this is, very thoughtful. Just to kind of keep you top of mind with your client.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. And that system that we use for everybody out there is actually called Mailbox Power. We also have another system called AM Cards. And we do certainly also have the ability to go old school and use these fingers here to write out a note. But it's a great thing to do. You're right. Snail mail, for the most part, is dead. You get a bill or a notice or something like that in there. When you get something that's actually addressed to you, man, it's a great feeling. It's really nice. All right. Number 2, this is the goal of your business as a realtor. It is to grow your database. It is not to sell houses. Selling houses comes as a byproduct of growing your database and building relationships. So add at least one person to your database every day. Now, Kenny, when we talk about a person that we may want to add to our database, what does that person, that avatar look like?
Really just anybody that you're coming in contact with. It can be somebody who has the potential to be a client in the future. It could just be, anybody who's in your sphere, somebody that, it would make sense for you to communicate with, moving forward. So maybe not your dentist, unless you have a personal relationship with them. But literally anybody that you think you'll come into contact on day-to-day basis, especially right now, it's kind of, it's the summertime. There are a lot of gatherings with family and friends. That's a great time to connect with people and then get their information as a way to follow up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's almost anybody, right? Anybody that you have a two-way conversation with, right? If you met them, you conversated with them, you got their name, they got your name. And then if you happen to a month down the road, see them again, you'd be like, hey, we met at such and such's party, or, hey, didn't we meet at the PTA meeting, or whatever the heck it might be. That's the type of person you want to add into your database that you can then begin to communicate with them and bring value to them, because they might not be buying a house or selling a house, but they probably know people that might be buying or selling a house. And if you can make a good impression and build a relationship with them, well, guess what? You might be able to get a referral from them, which again is the name of the game. All right. Number 3 is something that we like to do, especially with on the fence people. Okay. So on the fence, whether it is on the fence buyer or on the fence seller, if you've spoken to somebody that says to you, you know what? Yeah, we'd consider buying if we could get the right price, or yeah, we think maybe in a couple of years, whatever it might be, it's already in their head. So what we like to do is we like to go into the MLS and we like to search for properties and send something specific to them. Just say, hey, Kenny, I was looking at properties for another client today and I came across this one and it made me think of you because it reminded me a lot of the house that you said that you were looking for when you decide to buy in the next 3 years.
Mhm.
Just thought it'd be fun for you to see what that might look like.
Yeah,
Great
just ways to
way,
keep
right?
people's interest, and sometimes, especially like what's happened this year, with rates being super low, there are homes that are more affordable and might fall into somebody's price range that they didn't think they could afford before. And we've had a lot of clients who maybe a year or two they were interested and it didn't happen for whatever reason. But if you keep those people somewhere on a list, typically what we do is we have our client list, but then we rank of who's going to be looking to transact, within the next 6 to 12 months. But you need to look at that list of people who might fall outside of that category, where maybe they didn't have the intention of buying, right now. But you want to keep them on your mind and make sure that you're still nurturing those relationships and sending them potential properties. It shows, number one, that they're on your mind, but also that you understand what it is that they're looking for and you're keeping an eye out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in a world where we're inundated with mass spam, it's just really nice to get an email that truly is meant specifically for you. So
Right.
give it a shot, and I think you'll see that people are responsive. If nothing else at all, it's going to at least spark a conversation. Hey, Kenny, thanks so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. Like I said, though, we're not looking anytime soon, but that's a nice house. I'm
Mhm.
surprised that they're selling for that much. That's good for me. Yeah, it is good for you. All right,
Yeah.
awesome. So something else that we do is sending unsolicited CMAs, whether it be by video or through our website, which is KV Core, is our database that gives us the ability to do so, or we just simply do one through our Bright MLS and download a PDF and send it. So let's talk about what a CMA is and why that might be helpful for somebody if we start sending those out to people unsolicited.
Mhm. Well, the CMA is your comparative market analysis. Is that
Yeah,
right? I get that right? All
that's
right.
right.
So that's actually a really fun one to do, because it's not an appraisal, right? So this is just your agents, or we're talking agents. It's an agent's opinion of where this home could be priced at. And what's fun about that is all you really need is just somebody's address. And I do this unsolicited all the time. Oftentimes what I'll do is if I go to somebody's house for the first time, I'll record, their address in our database. And then I'll be like, hey, did you know how much houses are selling for here? Because that's always a good number to know, even if it's just to keep in the back of your mind. Knowing what your home's value is and getting that from a professional just seems to be very valuable, for our clients and for our friends.
Yeah, and sometimes it sparks an interest, right? We were talking about in our meeting the other day that one of our neighbors uh, listed their house. The wife actually holds a real estate license, and I actually talked to them about some strategies of what I thought that they could do and should do to maximize the money that they could get for the house. Now, I think that probably a fully renovated house could potentially go for $550,000. That is their model.
Mhm.
And they're listing it at 598. Well, sending something like that to a neighborhood where you see that it's over could spark the same thing that I've had multiple of my neighbors already do, which is this: Romeo, if that house sells for that much, I'm calling you the next day. Well, there
Right.
you go. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, right? People get excited about that. Even if it's not something that's going to happen, it's going to create a dialogue. And what are we doing? What are we doing, Kenny? What's our main purpose?
To keep the conversation moving forward.
Yeah, and build the relationship, build
Yeah.
rapport, be top of mind. All right, cool. So, something else that we like to do is build a next top 10 list, right? Or build our VIP client list and friend list. Now, what do I mean by that is those that we believe will be most likely to either use us in business or refer us in business. Now, we talked about the 80-20 principle in our meeting the other day when we discussed this. Kenny, tell people what the 80-20 principle is.
80/20 principle is 80% of your results will come from 20% of your actions.
Correct. Or just 80% of all results come from 20% of something. Absolutely. So a tiny little portion generates a major portion of whatever it is you're trying to do, right? So the 80-20 principle, if we put that into our database, which is what we're growing, if you take 100 people in your database and you have 20 of them that you think would be your raving fans, dote on those people, communicate with them more frequently, make sure that they feel the love, make sure that they know what you're doing, because those people are going to help generate 80% of your referrals. Doesn't mean you forget the other people, but you got to pay attention to who are your VIPs and treat them accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Number 6, engage in at least 15 meaningful conversations a day. Now we have something that we do, which is called the 5-5-5, right? The 5-5-5 is 5 text messages, 5 phone calls, and 5 social media messengers. But we have a minimum contact goal of 20 conversations, and that can be with other leads and so on and so forth. Now that 5-5-5 is with our sphere primarily, and talk to them a little bit about what our strategy is behind doing that 5-5-5 and kind of how that plays out throughout the year.
Well, you have to come up with some type of metric in order to track your progress and to also for personal accountability. And so we use different tools to make sure that we're recording that. But the intent is to make sure that you are nurturing all these different relationships, right? So with your personal sphere contacts, 5 is not really a hard number to get to, especially, you have text message, you have phone calls, you have Messenger. One of the great tools for me is I really wasn't using Facebook Messenger as much. Facebook is something that you do have to have, unless it's just a part of your everyday life. I have to have a task involved to say, okay, I have to make sure I get on here. Now, the messengers, those are important. Number one, because you can do it from your phone, so it's still pretty easy. But also, it encourages you to focus on your friends. So, what are you going to talk about? Well, they post a picture, they just had an anniversary or it's their kid's birthday or something like that. It helps you to focus, to be involved, and not just to have a conversation for the sake of having a conversation, but also to show that you actually do care about what's going on in their life, right? Because you do. Now, with the text messages, typically through text, what I try to do is make sure that I'm making my way through my context. So we have KV Core. We want to make sure that we're keeping track of dates. So I'm not talking to the same 5 people every day. I'm making sure that I have some type of a touch point with each person in my database, at least at a minimum each quarter. But if it's somebody who's closer, making sure that I'm talking to them monthly or weekly or whatever it is. So the 5-5-5 is helpful because it puts a metric behind it, but also make sure that you're not just focusing on one aspect of your personal life, and that some people, you may only have connections with them through Facebook. Some people, you may only have connections with them through, cell or through text. So it really helps you to make sure you're tackling each area.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the goal. So when this was first introduced to me, and I can't take credit for the 5-5-5, I was looking for something, and we had metrics, and our coach, Jennifer Schiff for the Manifest Network of EXP, introduced us to a metric. And then I was listening to another podcast with some of our colleagues, and a great colleague of mine and ours, Nick Waldner, who's local here and has an awesome team as well. He called it the 5-5-5. And I went, oh my God, that's it. And he broke it down. And so the goal is you have 5 text messages a day, 5 calls a day, and 5 social media messengers a day. Well, then those people you put into what is number 7, routinely add systems to your business. So the system we added for this is that every month you do the different things. So we're talking to people once a month through a different medium. They never feel like they're being bombarded. And we have a rule in our organization that we do a jab, 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 cross. Just like out of Gary Vee's book, where he talks about give, 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 ask. Give, 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 ask. So we talk to our clients, our friends, our clients, our family members, 12 times a year in this system, yet only 4 times a year do we actually mention, hey, by the way, if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell, please do think of us. And it's not even an ask, it's more of a reminder. So definitely want to make sure that you're communicating consistently. And so build systems routinely. So build a system for how you communicate with your sphere. Build a system for how you follow up with leads. Build a system for how you do your buyer presentation. Build a system for how you do a listing presentation. Build a system for how you show houses, right? Build a system for how you plan your day. Build a system for every single solitary thing inside of your business and document it. Those things are going to help you. I heard a really great interview the other day where they were talking to a highly successful individual, and he said, people always ask me, how in the heck do you always stay so motivated? And he simply said, I don't. I'm not. It's impossible to be motivated every day. But what I've done is I've built incredibly strong habits, because when you're not motivated, your default is going to be your habits. So build your habits now. That really, I think, is the icing on the cake for any of you out there thinking about how are you going to grow your business. For me, a big thing was accountability. And that's something that I bring into our team. Kenny, we meet weekly and we discuss what you've got going on in your business, how it's tracking, if you have any gaps, and how we can improve it for the next week. Correct?
Correct.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it easy to get off track if that's not happening?
Yeah. And the more business that you get, it kind of has the adverse effect. The more business you get, then the easier it is to lose control of your business.
100%, 100%. And so listen, ladies and gentlemen, realtors out there, or even anybody that's listening as a consumer that's thinking about getting a real estate license, there are systems and processes that you can implement. We do them. You can come and work with us and we can help you with them to grow your business, or you can continue to listen to our podcast and get tips and tricks here as well. What I want to recommend that anybody out there does, though, is master the systems first and then get creative, right? Gary Keller says that all the time. There are systems and processes. First, master the system before you add creativity. If you start out with creativity before you have a solid base underneath of you, you might find yourself in trouble. So people have lived before you. People have done this. I'm not a genius. I'm not telling you guys anything that I made up. I went and I looked for people that were doing things that I wanted to do, and I've found ways to emulate them and bring what they do into their business. So if that's the type of mindset you have, we should have a conversation. And if you're building your own team, continue to grow, continue to document, and continue to track. Kenny, what do you have to add?
I mean, that's a great note to leave on. And the funny thing about this is we're talking about real estate, but this really applies to any entrepreneur.
100%.
Having systems, making sure that you're writing down these processes is super important. And especially if your goal is to expand, you want to make sure that you're setting the culture of, we need to create processes around things. So that way we all know what we're doing. We can hold each other accountable. When something goes wrong, we have an opportunity to sit back, look, and adjust. One of the things I like that we do is we also talk about what mistakes did you make? What did you do wrong today? And if you're not having that kind of conversation with yourself, you really can't improve on your process. So, we love systems here. Anybody who's looking, to join a team, I think team environments are definitely the way to go. If you're going to be an agent, being out there on your own also kind of lengthens your learning curve. And as our team is working through these processes and different products, we can help you shortcut your path to success.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody, rap stars, thank you all so much for tuning in this week. We love being with you guys, and we can't wait to see you again next week. Kenny, thank you so much. I know it's Friday and you are going to have a crazy busy weekend implementing your systems and helping lots of families either get under contract or sell their houses. So have a great one. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We're out. All right.